Hi there, I'd like to introduce you to the Ninja Assassin, which currently has been reduced in price down to $699 UK sterling ex VAT. You can come and see us at CABSAT in a couple of weeks and have a look at the products. This is the Ninja Assassin, which has effectively it's a monitor which is Rec 709 broadcast calibrated, as well as a recorder. So it has a hard drive on the back. So we have a 1920 by 1200 broadcast spec monitor, and we're recording to a hard drive simultaneously. So the beauty of this is that you still record to the camera, but you also record to the monitor. And the benefit of this is that basically you've got two copies of your data instantly. So when you come back from a shoot, you don't need to back up the information. What you've got is you've actually got two copies of your data, so you're ready to edit straight away. So we can actually place it straight onto a USB 3 adapter, and we are ready to edit. So it saves a huge amount of time, but also you've got the reliability and the safety of having two copies of your data, which is the big thing. So if I put this on the back here, what we can do is the monitor itself, it's fantastic for using with large sensor cameras where focusing is a real problem, because we have focus tools on here. For example, we can do things like 2:1 expansion on the screen. So for example, if I want to make sure this area here is in focus, I can expand the screen, come over to here, focus this one specific point, and then come back out again, and I now know that's perfectly in focus. So as a focus tool, it's second to none. We also have things like waveform. We can check our brightness and contrast levels. We have the RGB parade, vector scopes. Down here, I've got focus peaking, which will put a coloured highlight on sharp edges to help you with focusing, and you can change the colour of this. You've got, for example, focus, so you've got your zebra for brightness and contrast, which is has a threshold on it. We can adjust it. Safe colour. We've got aspect ratios. We support all different types of aspect ratio. And also we have a whole range of different safety markers for different aspect ratios. We can do tagging now, so we can actually mark and embed metadata into the clips, either whilst you're recording or after you've been recording. You can mark a clip up as good or bad, favourites, and we can edit now as well. So it's a monitor, a recorder and an editor. So what we can do is in here we can actually mark in and out points, put a sequence together to show a director, apply a 3D LUT if we wanted to. So in here I've got lookup tables, and I can import more if I put them on the hard drive. And when we apply this, we can either apply it to half the screen to educate the director into why we shoot flat images and why we grade an image and why we shoot flat images for maximum dynamic range and why they look like they do whilst we're shooting them. It's very common that directors worry about the images when you're shooting flat. So we can apply to a split screen, or we can apply it to the whole image. And if we apply it to the whole image now, we can actually record it as well. So if you're shooting something like an event and it's really fast turnaround, you haven't got time to do a grade, you can actually record the 3D LUT straight in. So we can show the director the sequence whilst you're still on location with a 3D LUT applied, and get him to sign off the whole job before you leave location. So it reduces the chances of you needing to do a reshoot. We can record in either Apple ProRes or we now support Avid DNx as well. We have this new time-lapse feature, which is fantastic, which basically we had a lot of requests for this. So we got things like frame blending, which you can see the effects on the water. And what it's really good for is if you're doing landscape work, to get the sky to move at that speed, you usually take less frames, which if you look at the cars on the horizon, they've got a motion blur applied. All of that is done by the ATOMOS recorder. That's not done by the camera. So it's not a slow shutter on the camera. It's actually just a pre-program effect in here. So what we can do is, with time-lapse, you're normally recording so many frames in a linear fashion, whereas what we allow you to do now is we can let you capture different frame rates during different times of the day. So for example, if the sun rises at 6 AM, at 5:30 you can tell it to take more frames, and then at 9 AM, when everything's stopped happening, you can ramp it back down again, and then ramp it back up again when it's sunset. So this feature gives you up to 10 commands, and then the frame blending option is you can have it on or off. And through HDMI, we basically take a 422 signal from the camera. So luckily for us, most cameras output a higher signal quality via HDMI than what they record internally. What they record internally is limited by the size of the memory card. The memory card inside the camera is 64 gigabytes, whereas here I've got 1,000 gigabytes. And the beauty of having a 1,000 gigabyte drive is that whereas the camera has to compress the signal to increase the record time to help sell the camera, luckily for us, we don't have that limitation. So we can record edit-friendly Apple ProRes 10-bit 422 files at our leisure. And although the files are larger and they're higher quality, on your computer they actually run faster, because we're not using H.264, we're not using a high compression algorithm. What we're doing is we're using an edit-friendly format, which is Apple ProRes and Avid DNx. So, but the other advantage is that even if you record highly compressed files and then you convert them afterwards, you'll still end up with big files, but you won't gain any quality by doing that. By recording a larger file immediately straight from the sensor of the camera, you get all the benefits of that larger file. So there's less compression, so when you're grading, you'll get a far superior image quality. You have a lot more control over your grading. The main difference that everybody's asking us at the moment is what's the big difference between the Assassin and the Shogun. Originally with the Shogun, we installed a 12G SDI connection, which means that we can effectively send 4K down a single SDI BNC cable. Unfortunately, not many of the camera manufacturers have installed this on the cameras, and they've done almost the reverse. Pretty much every camera now has HDMI on it, and because HDMI is multi-pin, we can actually send 4K up to 880 megabit 10-bit Apple ProRes files straight down a HDMI cable. So the big difference between the Assassin and the Shogun is the Assassin does not have the SDI 12G. It also doesn't have the, we had our own custom XLR adapter made. So the input for audio is 3.5mm jack only, and you have no 12G SDI connectivity. Between that, everything else is exactly the same. So you've got the same screen quality, same resolution, same software features. There's no other limitations apart from those two physical differences, and we intend to keep it that way. And the beauty of this now is that you have the Rec 709 broadcast calibrated screen at the amazing price of $699 UK sterling. So, but yeah, come and see us at CabSat and we'll give you a demo.